Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
Have you ever noticed how silence can cut deeper than words? Why does being ignored feel heavier than an argument ever could? And could that silence actually be a hidden message meant to guide you? When someone ignores you, it stings in places you didn't even know were still tender. It's a quiet kind of hurt. There are no harsh words, no loud arguments, only silence. Yet that silence speaks so loudly it echoes in the chambers of your soul. It makes you question yourself, wonder if you're worth anything at all. But listen closely. When someone begins to ignore you, it's not always a curse. More often, it's a sign they were never truly assigned to walk the full road with you. When people leave you in silence, it's not just absence, it's revelation. God uses absence to uncover what presence has been hiding. We can get so wrapped in the comfort of someone being around that we overlook the truth. Not everyone who walks with you is walking for you. And when they fall silent, that's not the moment to fall apart. It's the moment to open your eyes. There are people who sit at your table, eat from your hand, yet never pray for your breakthrough. People who laugh with you but secretly clap when you stumble. Some stay close not out of love, but out of fear of what you might become without their chains. Sometimes the only way God can set you free is by letting them ignore you, because it's hard to walk away from someone who still speaks sweet. But when silence settles in, you're forced to face the truth without the noise. God doesn't only use thunder to get your attention. Sometimes he uses stillness. When someone stops replying, stops showing up, stops checking in, it's not just their silence. It's God waving a red flag. It's not that you were too much. It's not that you weren't good enough. It's simply that your spirit outgrew their comfort zone. Rather than confront your growth, they retreat into silence. We beg for clarity, yet we already have it. We ask for closure, but silence is closure. We long for a reason, a goodbye, an explanation, but not every departure comes with words. Some people won't tell you why they stopped calling. They won't explain why they faded into the background. But you don't need their speech when God has already given you his sermon. Their absence is your answer. Too often, we cling to relationships because of history, not because they're healthy. We say, but we've known each other for years, as if time itself guarantees loyalty. Yet time doesn't always reveal truth. Testing does. When life's tests come, when you lose, when you hurt, when you rise, when you grow, true hearts are exposed. Those who are only seasonal will fade when the season no longer benefits them. It hurts, but it also heals, because now you see clearly. You see who was riding with you, and who was merely riding on you. Now you know who clapped because you succeeded, and who clapped because they thought you failed. Now you see who loves you for who you are, not for what you can give. And with that knowledge, you are free. Free to walk lighter. Free to stop shrinking yourself just to keep someone from leaving. Free to stop rehearsing conversations with people who are never going to understand you. Here's what will bring you peace. Those meant to walk with you will not ignore you. They won't play games with your heart. They won't leave you guessing where you stand. They won't make you feel invisible when you were born to shine. When someone is truly meant to walk your road, they show up consistently. Even if they don't always have the right words, they'll still stand beside you. Love doesn't hide in silence. Loyalty doesn't mask itself in distance. And true covenant doesn't crumble when the applause fades. So if someone is ignoring you now, don't chase, don't beg, don't shrink, and don't change who you are just to win their attention again. You are not an interruption in someone's life. You are a divine assignment. If they can't see that, let them walk. Let them ignore you. Let them go. Their silence does not change your calling. Their absence does not cancel your purpose. You are still chosen, still appointed, still loved, and still destined for greatness. When someone pulls away, when they ignore you, when they go silent, it's easy to fill that quiet with worry. Your heart begins to race. Your mind starts to spiral. You replay conversations again and again, wondering what you did wrong, what you could have said better, how you might have made them stay. But that silence may not be punishment. It may be providence. Sometimes when people fall silent, it's not so you can hear them. It's so you can finally hear God. We often don't realize how much noise we carry. Not just in the world around us, but inside our hearts. The voices of others can crowd out the one voice that matters most. We spend so much time checking our phones, waiting for a response, hoping for a message, scrolling for updates, chasing a voice that left, instead of listening to the one that's been waiting all along. It is in the stillness that heaven speaks, not in the drama, not in the chaos, not in the back and forth of human emotions. God waits until everything else fades before he steps in, because he knows what we often forget. We won't listen until we are quiet enough to hear. That person ignoring you right now, their silence may feel like rejection, but it could be divine redirection. Maybe their silence is not a wound, it's a window opening your spirit to something deeper. It's the moment when God says, "Now that you've stopped chasing them, let me show you who you really are." God is not the author of confusion, but sometimes he allows silence so he can speak clarity. When you're surrounded by chatter, opinions, and endless distractions, it's hard to hear that still, small voice that brings peace to your soul. But when the voices go quiet, when the phone stops ringing, when the attention fades, that's when you start to lean in. That's when your prayers become real again. That's when your ears tune to the only frequency that can calm the storm within. Many people fear silence because it forces them to confront what they've been avoiding. But don't fear silence. Embrace it. Let it teach you. Let it heal you. Let it reset you. The absence of others often ushers in the presence of God. The silence of people is often heaven's invitation. You may not have their words, but you still have his wisdom. You may not have their affirmation, but you still have his approval. You may not know why they stopped talking to you, but you can trust the one who has never stopped speaking over you. He speaks peace when the world offers panic. He speaks truth when others give you silence. And his voice never fails. Sometimes, in the middle of being ignored, you start hearing what you were too distracted to notice before. You begin to hear the nudge to release unhealthy attachments. You begin to hear the whisper that says you are more than the way they treated you. You begin to hear the strength of your own voice, the voice you once gave away trying to keep someone else around. Silence from people exposes where your trust truly rests. Was it built on them or built on God? It shows whether you leaned on their approval or stood on his promise. When people are talking, it's easy to get lost in their words. But when they stop, you begin to remember the word that never fails. You open the Bible again. You pray not out of routine, but out of desperation. You stop performing and you start listening. You may feel alone, but you're not. God is not distant just because people are. He is not silent just because others are. He is near to the brokenhearted, and he draws especially close in the quiet. Don't fill the silence with worry. Fill it with worship. Don't rush to make noise. Learn to rest in stillness. That's where he meets you. This moment of being ignored could become the most sacred moment of your life. In the hush of heartbreak, you finally hear your healing. In the absence of their voice, you begin to recognize his. And what you hear from God in silence will be stronger, deeper, and more sustaining than anything they could have ever said. When someone ignores you, it can feel like the world shrinks around you. Doubt creeps in. You wonder if you ever mattered. You ask yourself, why me? What did I do wrong? But here's the truth. When someone chooses to ignore you, it doesn't define your worth, it reveals theirs. Too often, we let the actions of others measure our value. We let their silence become a judgment on who we are. But the way people treat us speaks more about their own hearts than about our worth. When someone looks right past you, when they act as if you don't exist, that isn't a verdict on your significance. It's a spotlight on their character. Think about it. A person who truly sees your worth will never ignore you. They might be busy, they might be distracted, but they won't make you feel invisible. Because when someone values you, even in silence, their heart remains connected to yours. When they ignore you, what you're really seeing is their inability to value what they can't appreciate. Their choice to ignore you is a mirror reflecting their own limitations, fears, and selfishness. Some people are simply too small to hold the greatness you carry. They're trapped in their own insecurities and struggles. Their silence says more about their brokenness than about you. It's easy to get caught in that pain, but don't mistake their silence for your failure. It is not a statement about you. It is a statement about them. There's a difference between being invisible and being ignored. Being invisible means you never truly existed to someone. They never knew or understood you. Being ignored means they do see you but choose to turn away. That choice is theirs alone, rooted in their priorities, fears, or unwillingness to engage. And it's not your job to fix that. When someone ignores you, don't rush to change yourself. Don't dim your light or quiet your voice just to make them comfortable. Your worth is not in their hands. It is found in the one who created you, who calls you by name, and who knows your heart better than anyone else. You were made to shine, not to hide, simply because someone refused to look. God's love for you is not conditional on how many people notice you or how often they speak to you. He does not keep score of how many times you've been ignored or overlooked. His eyes are on you even when others turn away. His love never changes. Human affection may fade, but divine love is unending. When someone ignores you, it's a painful reminder that earthly love is limited, but God's love is everlasting. You were not created for the approval of every person you meet. Some will walk away, some will ignore you, and some will make you feel small. But the value God places on you is immeasurable. When your worth is anchored in Him, rejection loses its power to define you. And here's something you need to remember. Ignoring someone is often a shield, a way people protect themselves from facing their own issues. Sometimes ignoring you is their way of avoiding confrontation, vulnerability, or responsibility. For them, it's easier to pretend you don't exist than to face the work of connection or reconciliation. You may feel the sting of their silence, but remember, it often speaks more about their fears and limitations than about your flaws. You don't have to carry the weight of their inability to communicate or care. Your heart is too valuable to be dragged down by indifference. So when someone ignores you, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Ask instead, "What's wrong with their heart?" And trust that God's hand is on you, even when human hands pull away. Your worth isn't defined by their attention, but by the Creator who made you wonderfully and fearfully. In moments when you feel overlooked, hold to this truth. You are deeply loved by the one who sees every struggle, every dream, every scar. You matter to Him. And because He values you beyond measure, you must learn to value yourself the same way. Don't let someone else's silence become your silence. Don't let their ignoring cause you to shrink. Stand tall, knowing your worth is never hidden from God, and His purpose for your life is too great to be derailed by neglect. When someone ignores you, it hurts, but it doesn't define you. It reveals whose opinion truly matters. Sometimes it feels like a door slams shut without warning, leaving you searching for answers. You wonder, why did they pull away? What happened between us? Yet silence often tells a story words cannot. It exposes what was hidden all along, the difference between being attached and being truly aligned. There are many kinds of connections in this life. Some people come because of convenience. They attach themselves to what you can give, your time, your resources, your attention. They're there because it suits them in that moment, because you fill a space in their lives. But when that need fades or the season shifts, so does their presence. Their attachment was conditional, tied to benefit, not to belief. Alignment, however, runs far deeper. Alignment means walking the same path with purpose and conviction. It means hearts connected by more than circumstance, bonded by shared values and vision. When you are aligned with someone, their support doesn't shift with the winds of change. Their presence stays steady, rooted in commitment, not convenience. When someone suddenly withdraws or ignores you, it reveals where they stood all along. It shows whether their connection was simple attachment or true alignment. If they vanish when life gets hard, when you grow beyond their expectations, or when you no longer serve their needs, then they were never aligned with your journey. They were only attached to what you represented at that time. It's painful to realize that some people were not walking beside you, but only riding your journey. They were passengers, not partners. And the moment the road grew bumpy or stopped serving their interests, they stepped off. Their silence and withdrawal reflect their own limitations and lack of loyalty. But here's the beautiful truth. When those attached leave, it makes room for those aligned to enter. It opens space for relationships built on mutual respect, shared vision, and genuine love. It frees you from the weight of false expectations and invites you to walk with those whose footsteps match your own. This separation is not punishment, it is provision. It is God's way of pruning your life so that only what can bear fruit remains. It's a refining process, removing distractions and drains so your purpose can thrive. The silence of those who were merely attached is a sign that God is preparing you for deeper, more meaningful connection. It is this kind of alignment that will sustain you in seasons of both plenty and drought. Once you understand this, the pain of being ignored begins to lose its grip. You start to see it not as a loss, but as a gift. You realize not everyone who came close was meant to stay close. Some entered your story as lessons, not lifers. And their departure teaches discernment, a discernment that brings freedom. Freedom from chasing approval. Freedom from forcing relationships that were never meant to be. Freedom from exhausting yourself for people who never intended to stand beside you. When you embrace this truth, you stop questioning your worth. When someone ignores you, you simply acknowledge they were never aligned with your destiny. Your journey is too sacred to be crowded by those who only want to benefit from it. It's too important to waste energy on people unwilling to walk the long road through both victories and struggles. Their absence is a signal to focus on those who will endure with you. So when you find yourself ignored or abandoned, don't see it as failure. See it as separation. Separation between attachment and alignment. And trust that this separation is necessary for your growth and for the fulfillment of God's plan for your life. You are not losing anything that was meant for you. You are simply being released from what was never meant to stay. And in that release, you'll discover peace, clarity, and the strength to keep moving forward. Yes, being ignored cuts deep. Silence can feel like a wound that refuses to heal. It's natural to hurt, to wonder if you are less because they turned away. But here's a truth that changes everything. Being ignored, though painful, often pushes you closer to your purpose. It forces growth in ways comfort never could. Pain has a strange way of shaping us. It carves out the space where strength begins to form. When someone turns their back, when their attention fades, you're left alone with your thoughts, your dreams, and your God. And in that quiet, you discover a well of strength you never knew existed. Think about the times when life felt impossible, when doors closed, when opportunities slipped away, when people walked out instead of in. Those were the moments that shaped your character. Those were the moments that taught you resilience. It was in those seasons that you learned not to depend on human approval, but on the steady hand of God guiding you forward. Too often we crave being seen, heard, and validated by others, forgetting that the most important validation comes from within, from the one who created us. When people ignore you, it strips away distractions and forces you to face yourself. That can feel frightening, but it is also freeing, because you stop living for their approval and begin living for your purpose. You may feel alone when ignored, but you are never alone on your journey. God sees every tear, hears every unspoken prayer, and understands every ache in your heart. He uses seasons of loneliness to draw you closer, teaching lessons only solitude can reveal. These moments build a foundation strong enough to carry you through whatever lies ahead. Being ignored can push you to uncover talents, passions, and gifts that were hidden beneath the need for validation. When the applause of others fades, you begin to hear the quiet voice within, the voice that whispers of your destiny, your calling, your unique purpose in this world. That voice is stronger and truer than any crowd's cheer. The journey toward purpose is never easy. It requires persistence, faith, and sometimes walking through seasons of silence. But those seasons are not empty. They are filled with growth. They stretch you, mold you, and prepare you for what God has planned. The pain of being ignored is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a greater chapter. Remember, many of the most powerful stories of breakthrough began with silence and rejection. Those who ignored the noise of the world, who refused to be defined by absence, are the ones who changed history. They turned pain into fuel, silence into a classroom, and setbacks into stepping stones. So if you feel ignored today, don't let that silence steal your hope. Let it propel you forward. Let it frame your life the way God sees it. He wants to use you. Keep moving, keep believing, keep growing. Because sometimes the greatest blessings come wrapped in the pain of being ignored. When someone ignores you, the first impulse is to chase, to call, to text, to demand answers. But that chase only pulls you away from the peace and purpose God has for you. Real strength is not found in the noise of pursuit, but in the quiet power of growth in silence. When you stop needing validation, when you stop begging for presence, you begin to walk in freedom, a freedom that changes everything. There is a profound lesson in learning to remain silent in the face of rejection. It's not about giving up or admitting defeat. It's about rising above the chaos of emotions and stepping into calm and confidence. When you stop reacting to being ignored, you reclaim your power. You no longer allow someone else's neglect to control your feelings or your future. Growing in silence means trusting God's timing and His plan, even when the world feels cold or distant. It means embracing solitude not as loneliness, but as a sacred space for growth. When others fall silent, you can fill that space with prayer, reflection, and renewal. In those moments, you begin to hear God's voice more clearly because you're no longer distracted by human drama. There is strength in stillness. Scripture reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness is not weakness. It is the strength that comes from resting in His sovereignty. When you learn to be silent in your pain, you open the door to divine wisdom. You start to see your situation from a higher perspective. You develop patience, perseverance, and peace. Sometimes silence is the best response to being ignored. It guards your heart from unnecessary pain, preserves your dignity, and gives you space to heal, without waiting for explanations or apologies from others. In that silence, you discover your true voice, the voice that doesn't depend on others, but rests in the confidence of who you are in God. This journey is not easy. It takes discipline and faith. It asks you to resist the urge to fill every empty space with noise. Yet when you embrace silence, you grow stronger, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. You develop resilience that cannot be shaken by neglect or rejection. As you grow in silence, you begin to attract those who respect your peace and honor your worth. You no longer settle for people who ignore you or take you for granted. Instead, you surround yourself with those who value your presence and encourage your growth. Your silence becomes a filter, separating distractions from genuine connections. Remember, silence is not emptiness. It is fullness waiting to be revealed. It is the soil where your faith takes root and blossoms. It is the space where God prepares you for greater things. Learning to be silent in the face of being ignored means you are never truly alone. You stand with the strength of the one who never ignores you. So don't chase after those who walk away, and don't cry out for those who choose silence. Instead, embrace the quiet as a sacred sign, a call to grow, to wait, and to trust. In that silence, you will find peace that surpasses all understanding. And that peace will carry you through whatever lies ahead. Hold on to that peace. Wishing you good health, happiness, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Mindset Daily.